Jaxson Dart thought introducing Donald Trump would be the biggest headline of his week. Instead, he found himself in the middle of a growing controversy after teammate Abdul publicly called him out. Now Dart is firing back, and the situation is getting increasingly heated. New York Giants quarterback Jaxson Dart introduced President Donald Trump before his speech in New York, a move that immediately sent shockwaves through the league. Given that both Dart and Carter were first-round picks by the Giants in the 2025 NFL Draft. The date was May 22, 2026. The venue was Rockland Community College in Suffern, New York, a rally organized for Republican Representative Mike Lawler, and Dart did not tiptoe into the moment. He stepped to the podium and said, "What an honor. What a privilege it is to be here. And without further ado, I'm grateful, I'm honored, I'm pleasured to introduce the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump." Trump and Dart then shook hands on the stage before the 23-year-old departed. "I want to thank Jaxson Dart," Trump said after the quarterback exited the stage, before adding, "This is going to be a future Hall of Famer in my book. Thank you, Jaxson, lot of talent." The attention only grew from there as Trump repeatedly referenced Dart throughout the speech. At one point, the president called the quarterback a beautiful guy with legs like tree trunks. For most people watching the clip circulate online, it was a talking point. For one person in particular, it was a gut punch. Carter reposted the video of his teammate introducing Trump and expressed his frustration. "Thought this ST was AI. What we doing, man?" Carter posted to X. That single sentence detonated across the internet. In the world of social media, nothing spreads faster than a first-round pick. Going at another first-round pick from his own team, in public, over something that has nothing to do with football. The clip of Dart on stage, combined with Carter's reaction, became the conversation of the entire NFL weekend. Not a game result, not a trade, not an injury. Two second-year players from the same franchise, drafted months apart, handed the keys to the same building, now squared off on the public timeline. They arrived together as first-round picks in 2025. Things got awkward between them, and while the dust has settled for now on the one-sided social media skirmish between Giants linebacker Abdul and Giants quarterback Jaxson Dart, it is not over. The speed of the reaction was not just confined to fans. The media lit up. Former players lit up. People who had not watched a Giants game in years had an opinion, because this was not just about football. This was about two young men at the absolute forefront of public life, navigating a divide that exists in every locker room in America, but rarely ever breaks into plain sight. Both players were selected in the first round, with Carter going no, 3 overall, and Dart going number 25 overall. They both made immediate contributions, with Dart taking over the starting quarterback role, and giving the fan base plenty of reason for optimism with his play. The fact that these two were supposed to be building something together made the optics even more electric. Think about the layering here. Dart is the face of the franchise, the quarterback whose arm and legs are supposed to carry this team for the next decade. Carter is the edge rusher who was drafted 3rd overall, who the Giants envisioned terrorizing the rest of the NFC for years. These two, drafted in the same class, ascending together. And now one of them is on social media publicly questioning the other. The NFL had not seen anything like it in years. Dart and Carter have been together side by side throughout their journey in the pros, as both were first-round picks by the Giants during the 2025 NFL Draft. And now, in the middle of an offseason that was supposed to be all about installing John Harbaugh's system and building toward a playoff push in 2026, the building was on fire, and the match had been lit on a stage in Suffern, New York. To fully understand why this blew up the way it did, you have to understand who both Jaxson Dart and Abdul are, and just how much weight each of them carries for this franchise. Jaxson Chase Dart is an American professional football quarterback for the New York Giants of the National Football League. He played college football for the USC Trojans and Ole Miss Rebels, and was selected by the Giants in the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. As a senior in high school, Dart was the Gatorade Football Player of the Year, after throwing for 4,691 yards with a state record 67 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions, while also rushing for 195 yards and 12 touchdowns. He was a generational prep prospect, the kind that college programs war over, and they did. He started at USC before making the transfer to Ole Miss, where he built one of the most productive college quarterback careers in recent memory. Overall, Dart started 38 games at Ole Miss, leading the team to back-to-back 10-win seasons. and finished as the program's all-time leader in passing yards, surpassing Eli Manning. At Ole Miss, he did not just perform well against soft competition either. Dart and Ole Miss won the Peach Bowl in 2023 against Penn State and the nation's top defense, where he faced eventual third overall pick and Giants teammate Abdul Carter. That detail alone is one of the more remarkable layers of context in this story. These two men battled against each other in a bowl game and were then drafted to the same NFL team months later. The New York Giants traded up to select Ole Miss quarterback Jaxson Dart with the No. 25 overall pick. In the 2025 NFL Draft, New York sent its 2025 second-round pick, 34th overall, its third-round selection, 99th, and a 2026 third-rounder to Houston to make it happen. The Giants paid a significant price because they believed correctly. It turns out that Dart was the real thing. Dart began his rookie season as the backup to Russell Wilson. On September 23, 2025, after a 0-3 start to the season for the Giants, Dart was announced as the new starting quarterback in the Week 4 matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers. What happened next was the kind of debut that makes an entire city fall in love with a player. In his first start, the Giants beat the then undefeated Chargers, and Dart completed 13 of 20 passes for 111 yards and added a rushing touchdown. On October 9th, Dart defeated the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles, completing 17 of 25 passes for 195 yards and rushing 13 times for 58 yards. He threw 15 touchdowns and had only 5 interceptions, while posting 487 rushing yards and 9 TDs on the ground, finishing 4th in NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. A redraft of the 2025 class by Bleacher Report ranked Dart as the best player from the entire draft class, ahead of the first overall pick. That is the type of trajectory we are talking about. And all of that momentum, all of that capital built up over a revelatory rookie season, suddenly had a torch held to it on a Friday afternoon in Rockland County. Now, Abdul Carter. Carter was selected with the number 33 overall pick out of Penn State, while Dart was selected with the No. 25 overall pick out of Ole Miss after the Giants traded up to get him. Carter, a former standout at Penn State, recorded 40 sacks, 43 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries during his rookie season. He made 6 starts while appearing in each of the Giants' 17 regular season games. Carter came in as one of the most physically imposing edge rushers the college game had produced in years. He was the kind of player defensive coordinators build entire schemes around. Relentless, high motor, a chess piece that can wreck an offense on his own. And off the field, Carter carried himself with an equally strong sense of identity. When he saw that clip of Dart on the stage, he did not fire off a vague subtweet. He said exactly what he thought. That is Carter being Carter. Dart was raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and has talked publicly about how his faith and his family's history of service shaped his worldview. His thinking, as he later explained, was simple. I've always loved this country. I have extended family members who have fought in wars. I have 2 uncles who have retired from the Air Force Academy and served themselves. And I even have a great-grandfather who served as the Secretary of the Treasury at some point. These are 2 men with deeply different lived experiences, different identities, different relationships to the political landscape, thrown into the most visible franchise in one of the most polarized cities in America. The collision was not accidental. It was inevitable. By Saturday morning, the video of Dart on stage and Carter's post on X were not just sports stories. They were everywhere. And almost immediately, the reaction machine swung into full gear from every direction. Carter himself moved quickly to try to cool the temperature. The supposed issue began early on Saturday, when Carter responded on X to a video of Dart introducing President Donald Trump at an event in New York. Carter wrote, "Thought this S was a I. What we doing, man?" in a post that raised eyebrows all over the NFL. But a few hours later, Carter posted again saying that he and Dart spoke as men, and that everybody on the outside can keep their narratives. Carter deleted his initial post criticizing Dart and also posted, "Me, JD6 are good. We spoke earlier as men. Y'all can keep y'all narratives." However, Carter ended up deleting that post as well. The deletions only added more fuel. When you delete a post in 2026, every screenshot already exists on 5 different platforms. The internet does not forget the fact that he deleted both posts, the critical one and the reconciliatory one, gave commentators even more material to work with and raised more questions about what was actually happening behind closed doors. Former Giants place kicker Lawrence Tynes came out swinging against Carter. Tynes took a shot at Carter with a post on X. The locker room is a sacred place because it brings together everyone from all walks of life and beliefs for one common goal. Calling a teammate out publicly for his political views and to get attention is nasty work, he wrote. That framing, that Carter had violated the unwritten rule of keeping locker room matters internal, became one of the dominant threads of the debate. A segment of the NFL media and former player world agreed with Tynes. Whatever Dart did, you handle that internally. You do not air it on social media. You talk to the man. Some argued Carter's willingness to go public was its own kind of statement, bigger than just a tweet. But others pushed back fiercely. Many of the reactions were hypocritical. People were wagging a finger at Carter for reacting to Dart's unforced error and ignoring the fact that Dart lit the fuse on all of this. The counter-argument: Dart walked onto a political stage in New York City voluntarily, introduced a sitting president before cameras, and then was apparently surprised when a teammate had thoughts about it. Carter did not ambush him. Dart put himself in the public square, and the public square responded. An NFL analyst offered a piece of advice to Jaxson Dart amid the ongoing controversy. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk weighed in on the growing scrutiny surrounding Dart. In his report, Florio pointed out that public criticism is almost inevitable whenever athletes openly step into political conversations regardless of their views. For a guy who has yet to fully establish himself, it's a bolder move than it would be for a quarterback or any other player who has become one of the best at the position he plays. Florio wrote, "That is the core tension the NFL media spent the entire weekend wrestling with. Dart has the right to do whatever he wants with his personal time, but the cost-benefit math of a 23-year-old quarterback, one who has not yet won a playoff game, who is still in year 2, who is still trying to cement his status as the face of a franchise, choosing to introduce one of the most polarizing political figures in American history on stage. In a city like New York, surrounded by a locker room that is a cross-section of America. That math is complicated." As the discourse ensued, one fan account brought up an old interview of Dart talking about Carter. He had nothing but praise for his teammate, and also brought up their ability to have deep conversations. "This year, there was just a lot of adversity thrown at us," Dart said in an interview in January. "Us being able to have those vulnerable conversations, and I think that for him, it spoke volumes to who he is, and how he was able to bounce back and really finish this back half of the year at an extremely high level." That clip spreading at the same time as the controversy painted the full picture. These two men had built something real. They had gone through adversity together on the field, had deep conversations, had each other's backs, and now the outside world was threatening to tear that apart with a narrative they did not ask for. The drama did not sit still over the weekend. It was building, not just publicly, but inside the Giants facility. Someone had to do something, and that something was a team meeting. This led the Giants to have a team meeting on Wednesday, where players could discuss the situation. NFL media reported that notable figures such as Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Jameis Winston spoke, with the Giants looking to move forward. Notably, according to reports, Carter was not present for that meeting. The team held a meeting earlier this week to clear the air, which Carter wasn't present for. That detail raised its own set of questions. Was Carter's absence a statement? Was it scheduling? Was it an indication that the bridge between these two was still under strain? Giants quarterback Jaxson Dart addressed teammates during a Tuesday meeting to discuss his introduction of President Donald Trump at an event last week in Suffern, New York, according to NFL Network insiders Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo. According to ESPN, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Winston were among Giants leaders, discussing Dart's appearance at New York Representative Mike Lawler's rally, where Trump was in attendance. Sources say the topics discussed in the meeting will be kept internal, and the team has moved past it. But moved past it in an internal team meeting and moved past it in the court of public opinion are two entirely different standards. The OTAs were coming up. Cameras would be there. Reporters would be there. Both Dart and Carter would have microphones pointed at them, and there would be nowhere to hide. The world was going to watch every handshake, every glance, every word that came out of both of their mouths. Meanwhile, expectations around Dart were significantly higher entering year 2. particularly with John Harbaugh taking over as head coach, and the franchise viewing Dart as its long-term quarterback. Harbaugh is a coach who has been down this road before. He spent nearly 2 decades in Baltimore managing enormous personalities and complicated locker room dynamics. He has navigated scandals, controversies, and personal crises involving players. But this was different. This was happening in public, in real time, before a single snap of training camp had been taken. That goes double for the Giants right now, with a new head coach in John Harbaugh, and in the midst of a pivotal offseason for the franchise. This was supposed to be the offseason of installation, of building culture, of setting the tone for what the Harbaugh era in New York would look like. Instead, the first major storyline out of the building was a political controversy involving the 2 most important players on the roster. Dart was forced to publicly address the issue at OTAs on Friday. After it upset Abdul Carter, Dart's teammate and fellow 2025 first-round draft pick, the pressure on that Friday OTA session was enormous. Both men would speak. Both men would be scrutinized. John Harbaugh would be scrutinized. The entire Giants organization, the one that had just brought in a legendary coach to rebuild a broken franchise, was going to have to walk into a media room and answer for something that had nothing to do with football. Every word would be picked apart. Every pause would be analyzed. And the most consequential exchange of the entire 2026 Giants offseason had not happened on a practice field. It had happened on a political stage in Suffern, New York, Friday, May 29, 2026. Giants OTAs, East Rutherford, New Jersey. All eyes were on Jaxson and Abdul at the facility for OTAs. The first time the players had practiced since the controversy the previous week, and there was no sign of friction as the men came face to face. Then came the moment that the internet would not stop talking about. Jaxson, Dart, and Abdul Carter hugged it out at Giants OTAs. Cameras were rolling as the players approached each other, first dapping each other up, and then hugging for several seconds as they shared a private word. Dart and Carter then walked off in different directions. The optics were immediate and wall-to-wall. The hug traveled faster than any press conference quote, and the reaction was split directly down the middle. Fans thought it was staged. The PR team fucking cooked. One laughed on social media. Others saw it as genuine. Either way, every camera in the building caught it, and the Giants communications team knew what they were doing. Then both men stepped to the podium. Dart spoke first, and he came prepared. Speaking to reporters after OTAs, Dart declined to share the details of those private conversations, but offered additional insight into his decision. Obviously, this was a unique opportunity, being asked and given the opportunity to introduce the President of the United States. Dart said as part of a prepared statement, "This was a unique opportunity being asked and given the opportunity to introduce the President of the United States." Dart said, "My thinking was pretty simple in the fact of, I've always loved this country. I have extended family members who have fought in wars. So, the president position has always been a position that I've well respected, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of political party, and my intentions were just that. I've been somebody who's always respected the different perspectives that people may have, the backgrounds that they come from. I understand that we have such a cool opportunity as people to be in a locker room, where it's a melting pot of people from everywhere, and we get to be together," he said. That last line was clearly aimed at the room, at Carter, at Burns, at Thibodeau, at every teammate who had a feeling about what happened in Suffern. Dart was not apologizing. He was not walking anything back. He was framing it as a matter of love, of country, and respect for the office, and drawing a direct line between that decision and the diverse fabric of a locker room. It was a clapback, measured, deliberate, and constructed specifically to say, "I am not ashamed of what I did, and here is exactly why." Then Carter stepped to the podium, and he was equally direct. "First off, I want to say that some things are bigger than football, and this is one of those things," Carter said. "Jaxson is one of our leaders. He's the face of our franchise. He not only represents himself and what he does, he represents all of us. And that goes for anybody who wears a Giants uniform. But if he chooses to align himself with a man like President Trump, it's my responsibility based on what I believe and what I stand on, to not only show my teammates that I'm against that, but to show the world." Carter was not backing down either. He held his position firmly and publicly, not out of animosity toward Dart, but out of a sense of obligation to his own principles. He made clear that his initial tweet was not an impulsive mistake. It was intentional. It was, in his view, necessary. But here's where it gets real. Carter made it clear that he did not want Dart to apologize. "I don't want him to say he's sorry," he said. "Stand on what you believe in, but it can't be a problem when I stand on what I believe in. That's all that matters to me. As long as we have that understanding, it's all good. That doesn't mean that me and Jaxson hate each other or we have beef. I sit next to Jaxson every day at every team meeting. We're close. We talk." Then Harbaugh took his turn. "It was really a good opportunity for us as a football team to have these kind of conversations around a real-life incident," Harbaugh said, ending with, "We're in a good place now, and we're moving forward." And then Jameis Winston, the veteran voice in the room, stepped up and delivered the speech that may have cut deepest. "We don't have to agree. We don't have to respect or even understand people's perspectives," he said, "but I think we should support their perspective, because that's what they believe in." Jameis Winston said he's proud of both Jaxson Dart and Abdul Carter for how they handled the situation. "We don't have to pick a side in this. The verdict, this was never actually a war. It was a collision of two men with two deeply different worldviews, forced to coexist in the most public profession on the planet. Inside the franchise rebuild of the decade, Dart did not back down. Carter did not back down. Both men drew their lines in the dirt and said, 'I respect you. I will play alongside you, but I will not pretend this does not matter.' Expectations around Dart are significantly higher entering year 2, particularly with John Harbaugh taking over as head coach, and the franchise viewing Dart as its long-term quarterback. That means every decision he makes on the field and off it will be held to a new standard, and Carter's willingness to speak publicly, to absorb the backlash, to double down at the podium, that tells you everything about who he is. Most 23-year-olds commit online gaffes these days, and Dart can put all his critics to bed by doing what he does best, putting himself on the line and leading the Giants to victory. That is ultimately where this ends and begins again. On the field, in the fall, with wins and losses. Because for all the noise, all the tweets, all the press conferences, all the handshakes in front of cameras, the only thing that actually closes this chapter permanently is the Giants competing for something meaningful in 2026. If they win, this becomes the adversity that forged them. If they lose, it becomes the crack in the foundation that nobody fixed in time.